Ooh, that's a flex to get all 3 wicks with only 1 match. That's good luck. Okie dokie. Hi guys, we're getting cozy. First of all, do you like my socks? Because I like them. Okie doke. Hello guys. This is gonna be a little bit of a different format than what I usually do, but I hit 500,000 subscribers, 500,000. I've been saying 500,000 because it just sounds more impressive. And while I do not have another plaque to unbox for this milestone, because the next one isn't until 1 million, I have been thinking a lot, I guess, about how this milestone feels and how I got here, but more specifically, the challenges. The things that I think most people don't usually talk about is what I'm gonna focus on today. Admittedly, I've even been having some more of these struggles, even more so recently, I would say. And so I thought I would just do a little bit more of a chatty reflection on this milestone and kind of focus on the challenges. Normally, guys, when I'm doing a sit-down video like this, where I'm just addressing the camera in my bedroom, I am fully following a script that I have written. I script my sit-down videos pretty much word for word because it makes my life so much easier when I go to edit that footage. But today is different. I have not scripted anything. I do have some bullet points of things that I want to hit here, but this is pretty much off the cuff, so a bit more stream of consciousness than usual. And to give you a little taste, to whet your appetite of some of the things that we're going to go over, getting over the embarrassment of starting, that is something that people ask me a lot about, and how I stay motivated and pull myself out of ruts and get over the struggles that naturally you're going to have when you're a YouTuber full-time. Hate comments and how I deal with those, and how the dynamics of just kind of that theme changes as you actually grow as a YouTuber. And then of course we'll cover some positive things too. Some of my favorite moments that I've had up until now, changing niches. Anyways, let's start with the beginning, shall we? We're still gonna go kind of chronological. So how I started, I'll give you the very brief story just in case you're new here and you don't know it. I started my YouTube channel for funsies in COVID, during quarantine. I came home from college, I graduated 2020, dumped out my suitcases of clothes, and I was just dreading putting it away in my closet. And I was like, you know, I'm not gonna wear a lot of this again. And a lot of it I had thrifted, I feel the need to say, but instead of just donating it, I thought, maybe I could get a little bit of money for some of this. And so I started listing those clothes for sale on Poshmark online. And it was something I just got pretty addicted to pretty quickly, because just that feeling, the adrenaline of making a sale, I found it really, really fun. And then once thrift stores started opening up, I would go and source clothes and then flip them online. And so that was kind of my first side hustle, something to keep me busy during that time. And eventually I started making videos about it on YouTube. And so that is how I started my YouTube channel, in a very, very specific niche. Probably needless to say, I became a whole lot more addicted to YouTube than I did to reselling. Almost after my first video, I was like, this is awesome. And I got really, really into learning about how to start a channel and how to grow quickly and keyword research. Again, I had the time for this because of COVID. My start date for my first consulting job got pushed back, and so I basically had this gap year where I was in California at home with my family and did this to stay busy, and thank God for that. At the time, right before I was about to start my consulting job, I had been making YouTube videos for 8 months at that point, and I think I had probably 8,000, something like that. And I had a friend say, what if by the time you start your consulting job, you have 15,000 subscribers? And I remember in that moment feeling like, oh my God, what if? Would I even start my job, or would I just go all in on this because I'm having so much fun doing it and making a little bit of money? I was monetized at the point. I was super excited at the prospect of 15,000 subscribers. Since we're talking about the beginning, the fear of getting started and getting over the embarrassment and getting made fun of. People ask me about this a lot, surprisingly a lot. I don't know if it's surprising, because it is a weird thing. It is an unusual thing to film yourself, to do literally what I'm doing right now, to put it out on the internet and to purport, I guess, that what you put on the internet is worth other people's time to watch. Because most people don't do it, although more and more are doing it these days. It will just naturally rub some people the wrong way, or because it's something that would scare them to do, they'll kind of make fun of you for it, or they'll think it's kind of weird. And I was not immune to that. Even though I have amazing people in my life and really great friends, I did get made fun of. I'll actually never forget this. It was a group of me and 12 of my friends. It was all college friends, and it was pretty shortly after I moved to New York and I had started getting a little bit of traction. I'd put out my first day in the life of a consultant video and my first New York City vlog. Because it was a big group setting, I think it was one of those things where, one person says something to get a reaction out of the group, and then it kind of goes from there. This wouldn't have happened in a one-on-one setting, but alas, it was a group setting and my YouTube channel came up. Without going into too much detail, I got some comments, oh, New York City vlog, like who watches these? And day in the life of a consultant, oh, you spent the first 6 minutes of the video like showing your morning routine before you actually start talking about consulting. All of which, by the way, at least that last point, totally valid feedback, which I actually incorporated. And so anyways, it was a pretty uncomfortable situation for me at the time to be in this room of people who were like kind of chirping at it. But the important part is how I got over it and how I learned to like move past those kind of comments. The truth is that I loved what I was doing so much and was so motivated by it and energized by it that like, yeah, while I didn't love those comments, was I gonna stop because of those like few people in that room? Absolutely not even for a second. And so what I did was think about it and actually admittedly take some constructive criticism out of those comments, even if they weren't delivered in the nicest way, and implement them into my future videos. Like I learned to get to the point quicker, and these are things I would have learned myself over time, but one, I guess there is some value in certain comments, but that's not really the point. The point is there are gonna be a lot of people in your life that kind of let you down or that give up on you or just won't believe in you. Do not let that person be you. And if you love what you're doing enough and you're motivated by it, like those comments are they're just gonna roll off of you. That's not true. They won't just roll off of you. They're gonna suck. But my point is that what you wanna do and what you're passionate about and your desires have to outweigh the shittiness that comes from comments like that. Life is way too short. You have to live a life that is true to yourself and what you wanna do and not what others expect of you. And you're gonna get more and more as time goes on. Granted, probably not from your close friends and from people on the internet, but you're always gonna deal with some type of hate comment when you put yourself on the internet. That completely just comes with the territory. And then getting over the fear of embarrassment, this is slightly different than like getting made fun of. I think you actually have to be a little delusional. When you put your first video out, you have to believe that it is good and that it is valuable, depending on what the video is. If you're teaching something, which I was at the time, I really could fall back on the fact that if I had seen that video like a year prior, it would have been helpful to me, if that makes sense. So I think being able to fall back on kind of knowing that there's value there gives you a pretty strong foundation to not get shaken when you feel slightly embarrassed that your friends from middle school might see it, or you know what I mean? Like, who cares? The goal is for as many people to see it as possible, so who cares if your second order, third order acquaintances see it, you know what I mean? Pop in after I finish filming that I want to include here. Something else I've learned over the journey to 500K is really the business side of this. I treated my YouTube channel like a business from day one, and I think that's part of the reason that I love doing it so much, because that personally really motivates me, the business side. And it goes hand in hand so well more recently with Kajabi, who I've been using for a while now. They're sponsoring this video, but today I'm just speaking from the heart. I don't even need to look at the talking points because I know so much about Kajabi at this point. They are an amazing, and I really mean this, they are an amazing all-in-one platform where creators can kind of start and build multiple revenue streams. So you can build an online course on Kajabi. You can have a membership site. You can host a podcast. You can have an email newsletter. Endless things. They have so much functionality and capabilities. It's almost overwhelming, but like in a good way, because I love to have the option to just customize the crap out of everything. They're just an amazing kind of player in the creator economy world where, as far as I see it, they are just champions of creators because they don't take a revenue share. Yes, as a creator, you pay to use the platform, but they don't take a cut of whatever sales you make on your course or on your membership, whatever. I just have absolutely loved working with them. And so to try Kajabi for yourself, which you should if you're a creator looking to build multiple revenue streams, you can try it for free at kajabi.com/TaylorBell. That's kajabi.com/TaylorBell. And you can join the creators and entrepreneurs who have now earned over $8 billion on Kajabi. When I first started working with them, it was 6 billion, so it's just wild. Again, kajabi.com/TaylorBell. Thank you to Kajabi, as always. I gotta go a little faster. If I ramble this much, it's gonna take forever. So stage 2, slightly more positive maybe, but it's kind of that first phase of exciting growth. Having the amateur mindset, having your first sort of mini viral video, and having real fans, if I may say. I think that arguably the most fun stage, at least for me, up until this point, is kind of the stage where you're going from 10 to 20,000 to 100,000 subscribers, when you're still considered a pretty small creator, but you feel a real connection with a lot of the people watching your videos, and you're getting better and you can see the numbers rising. And the numbers, by the way, small tangent that I was planning on hitting here Anyways, a lot of people say numbers don't matter because you can't control the numbers, which I get why people say that, and that is true to an extent. But I will go out on a limb and say that numbers do matter. They matter for motivation, at least for a lot of people. I'm not saying it should be your main motivator, but let's be realistic, especially when you're starting. Going from 10,000 to 20,000 subscribers is a hell of a data point. That does matter. It shows that you have a proof of concept if you have more eyeballs watching and more subscribers and more comments. Now, people's point about the numbers being out of your control is kind of true in the sense that what you can control is making more videos, getting better and better at honing your craft, and then the score kind of taking care of itself. I do also believe that. And that's what you should focus on, is just getting better and being consistent and all these things, rather than just focusing on the numbers. But they kind of go hand in hand is my point. So anyways, back to that really, really fun and exciting stage. It was really, really fun. My first ever kind of mini viral video was my day in the life of a consultant, which, as we've already talked about, I actually don't think is a really, really good video to today's standards. I watch it and I kind of cringe because it's true. I didn't get to the point very quickly, and I don't know, the flow is not very good, but whatever, that's kind of the point. It's not gonna be good when you first start. But what is so beautiful about that stage is that you have this, what I kind of call the amateur mindset. The amateur mindset I have seen come up in many places, just kind of in the creative world. I'm gonna share this in another video because I could talk about it a lot, but in Show Your Work, they go over the amateur mindset, which is basically the period in your creative journey where you are just kind of unafraid and you're trying everything and you don't know what you don't know yet. You're not hindered by the context of a lot of knowledge and getting better at what you're doing. Now I know what I don't know. I know my limitations kind of, and I know that if I put out this video, I know it's not gonna do well, so I just won't do it. You know what I mean? Versus back then, you're just kind of experimenting with everything. You're seeing some traction, and so you're throwing a bunch of stuff at the wall, and there's a lot of creative freedom in that time that I honestly am jealous of. I often think about the way that I operated in that time. I was posting God, I had a freaking full-time job, and it wasn't even a 9 to 5, it was a 9 to 9 consulting, and I was still making videos pretty much weekly, and I didn't hold myself to a crazy high standard of editing at the time. Point is, the mindset that you have when your channel has just got off the ground and you're having a handful of people watching every single video and hyping you up in the comments, and you recognize their avatar and you feel like you have a personal relationship with them, it is kind of the best feeling. It is, you get totally addicted to it, and the sort of sad reality is that I don't think that you can go back to that. And you don't want to go back to that because you've learned so much. Part of me wants to go back to that kind of mindset, but you can't take away what you've learned. And so what you can do is just be fierce and unafraid to try new things, and I'm trying to get better at that. Now, going back to the negative, not even, but the challenges, the stage after that really, really exciting, like 0 to 100,000 subscriber mark. The challenges during this whole time that I was at BCG and doing YouTube, I had a little bit of an identity shift. This is kind of when I switched my niche. I was very, very intentional to at some point stop talking about consulting, about my day job, because it wasn't my passion. I didn't want to have to rely on talking about that to grow on YouTube. That was kind of my biggest fear, is very loaded, but like, to me it was kind of like, what's the point of doing this if I have to talk about something I'm really not enjoying to get views and to grow an audience, you know what I mean? And so consulting was always kind of in the background of my life. Like, I would refer to it because it literally was my full-time job, but I wouldn't make. There was a point where I stopped making videos just about it. I only made one day in the life of a consultant video. I made a couple explaining what consulting is and why I went into it. But admittedly, when I made those videos, that's when I was still kind of excited about consulting. As more time went on, I really, really wanted to pivot to kind of more broad business and personal finance and personal development topics, as well as what life is like in New York City. So there were a lot of different things I wanted to make and experiment with, but I did not want to get pigeonholed into consulting content. Funny enough, a lot of people still have the notion that the second I left consulting is when I stopped talking about it. Like, no, I stopped talking about it years before, on purpose. We'll go over them. But some of the challenges with this identity shift and with kind of changing my niche and doing this at the same time as this very, very demanding consulting job, it was a pretty tough year, I'll be honest. Not like personally, although it was a very big transformational year for me personally too. But yeah, I had to grapple for the full year with knowing that I wanted to do this other thing while I was still in my consulting job. I talked about this in my why I left consulting video, which I get pretty personal in there. But yeah, basically I dealt with this really, really strong cognitive dissonance of having this other thing that I knew I loved and wanted to do full time, but was in this job that I really did want for so long while I was in college. And then once I get it, I'm not really enjoying it. I'm kind of resenting it, to be honest, because it took me away from the thing I wanted to do. Anyways, though, yes, during this year, I did feel a little directionless because I couldn't make that many videos because it was so demanding, my full-time job. So when I did make them, I feel like they weren't my best work because I just literally didn't have the hours to dedicate to it. I didn't have the hours to dedicate to improving, and I couldn't practice. So I just kind of put out, I don't want to say half-assed videos, but ones that were like pretty quick, relatively speaking, to make, quicker to edit. I just wasn't very fulfilled during this time. I will say though, it made very clear what I wanted to do, if that makes sense. Like it almost took this job to make me realize, oh, that is what I want. That is fully what I want to do. And to not have any second guessing when I finally made the decision to jump ship. But anyways, moving on to like kind of ish present day, or let's just say the last year, leaving consulting and doing YouTube full time. A lot of people ask me how I stay motivated. And my thoughts on this, it's sort of an unsatisfying answer. And it's that I really, once again, just love making videos so much that if a video doesn't perform well or I go through a rut, you know, I just kind of have to sit through that. I have to allow that. I have to let myself kind of feel those emotions because you just can't push that away. But I do believe that if you really, really love it, you'll come back to it and you'll get inspiration again from something else. And you know, it's kind of the life cycle. But I'll be very honest with you guys. When I have a video that I think is really, really good, I put so much time and effort into it, and it bombs or it just doesn't perform as well as I thought it would have, based off of all of my conventional knowledge and research on YouTube and everything, it sucks. Like I'm literally going through it right this second. As I make this video, I just put out my New York City terrace makeover video, and I'm really hoping that it performs better over time because I think it's just like really fun and, in my opinion, like a well-made video that has a good flow. Like I put so much time and effort into how much I'm talking versus how much B-roll and how the music changes. I just put a lot of effort into that. And so while I'm never one to say that it deserves more views, like I really don't like when people say that. I think it's one that a lot of people would enjoy if they saw it. And so anyways, point is the fact that it's not performing super strong out of the gate, it sucks. Like it's not a fun feeling, but the only thing I can do is try and take away learning lessons from why I think that might be, like really analyze it, look at my analytics, see the retention, and then push forward and make another video because that's in your control. The numbers are not in your control. And so that's kind of the mindset that I've always taken. On the flip side of that, I've had videos that I thought were like fine that did really well. So I'm like, what the hell? But anyways, the algorithm will always, or sometimes will surprise you in positive and negative ways, but that is kind of just the name of the game. All that's in your control is to get better. I'm like constantly kind of a student of the game. I'm always writing down editing techniques that I want to learn how to do. I am living on YouTube. I watch so many videos, and if one really, really inspires me, or I notice that I feel happy afterwards, I take note of what about that video was successful to me as a viewer. And I have a full note of videos that did that for me. So that's what you can do. I'm turning this into like a teachable, but that's just kind of how I operate. Oh, people ask me, here, let me make sure it's still filming. I don't have a viewfinder. I still use my phone to film. Okay, what am I doing here, Taylor? Let's stay on track. A lot of people ask me, oh yeah, getting over the fear of filming in public, very specific, but I always just have it in my mind. If someone looks at me and sees me for 2 seconds while they're walking by filming and they think, oh, that's kind of weird, I'm never gonna see that person again. And even if I did, why do I care? I don't, but like, why does one care what they think? You know, it's a little bit reminiscent of one of my favorite life advice that I always give, which is, you know, if you're stressed out or worried about something right now, ask yourself if in a year, will that matter? Will it matter in 5 years? And the answer almost always being no. It's kind of the same thing. Like, just put it into perspective. You're never gonna see that person again. And this doesn't just go for filming in public. That is so specific. It goes for lots of things when you get stressed out and getting over embarrassment or trying something new. So anyways, that's my advice. Okay, ooh, this is fun. Some themes and things that I've been thinking about. Starting with staying private. So I just turned 27, which is crazy because I was 22 when I started this YouTube channel. I almost was 23, but I was 22. At that time, and when I first moved to New York, I kind of didn't really think about, well, I did. I thought about it a lot, but I was gonna say proverbially. I didn't really think about what I was filming. I just kind of went out and vlogged and filmed things and then figured it out when I was editing it, how the story would come together. Versus now, I have really started to realize the value of keeping certain things private and the value of staying present when you're in an actual real moment with friends and family. I had someone leave a comment recently like, Taylor, you always seem to be alone. Are you sad and alone? Or something like that. And no, the answer is no, I'm not sad and alone. But when I go out and film a vlog, it is a planned day of filming where I'm by myself. I have bullet points of places that I want to go see. I don't have it fully scripted or anything. Yeah, it's a very intentionally planned filming day just for me. Every now and then I'll make a video, like what I spend in a week, where my friends and family have to be in it regardless, because I literally filmed every single purchase that I made. And so friends made it into that one. But usually when I'm filming, it's something that, yeah, is very, very planned. And I do that just so I can kind of curate what I want to keep public and private. And there are times I've pulled out my camera to film something if I'm out and about with friends having a good time, and it's fine, you know, but I do feel that it takes me out of the moment. That's kind of why I film the way that I film. Oh, another point on staying private, something I do, and I'm telling you this because of some questions I've got. I don't announce things, like big things, until months later. So when I left consulting to do YouTube full time, I announced that, my gosh, 4 or 5 months after I did it. And similarly, I didn't announce that I started my new consulting job until 4 or 5 months after. So like the timeline for when I put it on the internet, if I do put it out, is totally shifted. And that has been a really strategic decision that's been very helpful for me, because it gives me, Taylor, the time to ease into something privately, like on my own time, before I announce it to the public, and then the public naturally setting certain or adjusting their expectations of my frequency of uploads or of whatever. Yeah, I like to deal with my own shit privately for a while first, you know? I don't know if that's a tip, it's just something I do. It's something I think people in my personal life find interesting, and so thought I'd share that. Okay, hate comments. This is so unstructured, sorry. The reason I'm talking about this is because the dynamics of hate comments, and I think the relationship that your audience has with you, or new people that find you, it does change as you get bigger. Or I should say this video is supposed to be personal. As I got bigger on YouTube, the dynamics changed. And some of it might just be my perception, but your perception totally dictates your reality. What I mean by that is my perception when I had 20,000 subscribers was, oh yeah, one teeny tiny little hate comment here and there, but oh my gosh, an overflowing of people that found me and feel like they found like an up and coming creator before they got big, you know, and they leave like super, super supportive comments on all your videos. Versus now, if I'm being very honest with myself, I still get those. I still have a lot of very, very, very supportive audience members. And my God, if the people that I meet on the street that come up and say hi are emblematic of how amazing my audience is, in the one-on-one DMs that I get of people telling me that they moved to New York because of me, or they got into Penn because of me, because they applied years ago when I made videos about my hindsight college experience, or they went into consulting because of me, for better or for worse. It means so much to me. But on the more, I guess, negative side, what does come with growing a bigger audience is you're just gonna get more hate comments. You're gonna get more trolls that assume your intentions, assume your motivations. And of course, I can tell myself that people that just go and leave nasty comments, like they have nothing better to do with their time. And so in some way I pity those people, but it doesn't not hurt, you know, just because you can rationalize it to yourself doesn't make it feel any better. However, I think it's worth noting that some hate comments I literally don't care about, and others I do, and others do hurt. The ones that I don't care about are like superficial things. Comments on my looks, or comments on me wasting my Ivy League degree, or I actually, and I mean this so sincerely, I don't care about those. The ones that do bother me are ones where I'm just so obviously very misunderstood. Whether it's purposeful or not, you know, comments where people will assume I have bad intentions, or that I'm just in it for the money, like utter bullshit that is actually really harmful stuff. Or ones that aren't necessarily bullshit, where, you know, people are still entitled to their opinion. You know, they might not like my content now compared to a few years ago when I was talking more so about consulting or, you know, more corporate stuff, versus what I focus more on now is sort of entrepreneurship and how I make a living doing what I'm doing, and also just like fun lifestyle content and showing what it's like to live in New York. People are entitled to their opinion if they don't like that shift, even though it happened a long time ago. Nonetheless, it's one thing to receive constructive criticism, and I mean this, I really do parse apart constructive criticism with just like hate comments. And the constructive criticism, even though it can be hard to receive sometimes, I do take it into account. I really, really do. I still read, to this day, every single one of my comments just to have a pulse on what the community is thinking, even if I need to like mentally filter through a decent amount of it. It's helpful to see what people are thinking, even in the hate comments. I don't think it gets easier, but what I do tell myself is that as I continue to do this, I'm just gonna get more and more. And so it's something I have to learn to deal with. And while I know some creators who just fully don't read the comments, for totally valid reasons, for mental health, just so you don't see that, because it is a very weird, unnatural thing to be perceived by that many people, and having that many people weigh in on everything about you. It's a strange thing, and so I get why people just might not read the comments. I still do, I find value in it, plus I get so many nice ones that I love responding to. Anyways, yeah, it is just kind of the reality of putting yourself, when did I get that close to the camera? It is kind of the reality of putting yourself on the internet. You're gonna get it no matter who you are. And so finding out what way works best for you to cope with that, or to learn from it, or what have you, you'll need to figure that out sooner or later. I guess I could tell you guys just some of my sort of future plans. As far as content goes, I am really enjoying what I'm making right now. It's a hybrid of the solopreneur life and life in New York City. I think I'll stick to that for a while, but also to not be afraid to experiment and try new video topics, even if they flop. You have to try new things to grow. And so I have some ideas there that I'm really excited about too. I will say that, well, I don't know if I want to say this out loud because maybe it will change, but that's okay. I can change. Well, let me put it this way. I still am a business person at the end of the day. The reasons I went into consulting and finance and my internships and went to business school, like that is very core to who I am. And I do find it appealing to continue / start leaning even more into that side of me and my background and my interests. If that would be of interest to you guys, let me know in the comments. Throw suggestions. Like I said, I read everything, so I will see your comment. That's one thing I will say. Otherwise, this is very rambly, I know. I think I ended up making it a little prescriptive more than I originally intended. But if you liked this or like this format where I just yap for however long this video will be once I edit it down, let me know and I can make more because they are kind of fun and therapeutic in their own way. And gosh, I have to just finish with an actual genuine thank you that this is my job. I mean, like I said in the beginning, I know I kind of focused on some of the negative aspects, or the challenges rather, but for the most part, I really do wake up every single day in this bed excited to do what I do and to get out of bed and get after it. Yeah, couldn't be more grateful for that, truly. I do not take it for granted. So I wanted to finish with that instead of kind of the solemn note we finished on before. Anyway, I'll see you guys soon. Let me know in the comments. Like I said, I read them all. Let me know what you want to see from me kind of in the next year. I have hundreds of ideas written down, but I would love to hear y'all's thoughts. So anyways, with that, turtle out. Okay, so actually, it's way too late to be drinking coffee, but I don't care. And guess who's due for a little refill?